Hello and welcome to another fixing stuff video with me, Chaz Large, and on the bench today we have a Roberts radio, a Roberts Revival. Still got a little tag on it with the old label. Now this is a more modern version, that's why they called it a revival of the old Roberts radio of old. You can tell it's more modern because of two things. One, it's got FM, and the old original Roberts radio that this was designed around the box didn't have FM, and it's also got a headphone jack, and it's also got a power jack in the back there. So that's how you can tell that it is a revival. Now it's in reasonably clean condition. It rattles. And I've had a quick look, and I can tell you the reason it rattles is because I'm going to do the lovely, I love the old brass clips they used to put on there on the back, on the battery side of things. Let's manoeuvre it so you can see it on the picture there. And if we open the back, yeah, oh, it's an R250, there we are, Roberts R250. And the reason it's rattling is because the battery, the 9-volt battery connector, has obviously split in half. This normally goes onto a PP6 9-volt battery, big chunky thing that sits in there, and that's obviously been repaired at some stage with some masking tape. Well, yes, if it works, but obviously the connections have been broken off. So does it still work? Well, let's find out by first off trimming off the wires. So let's use the old wire strippers. There we go. And the other one there. Anyway, that's enough for testing purposes. So what we can do is just give these a little tweak on the wires. Like so. Fire up the old bench power supply, set that to 9 volts. There we go, 9 volts, and we'll connect the black one first. Let's just fold that back onto there so it's got a bit more to grip. The wires are very thin wires. I may have stripped it back just a touch too much. Probably my lights doing that.
It sit well with me.
I'll just turn my LED lights off for a minute. Probably something else interfering. It's probably my router. Same controller. Put the old antenna.
The way that people can support you over the next class.
A couple left.
Oh, morning, Harriet. Sure.
You're my discreet.
So, radio seems to work. The only problem seems to be that this battery connector has died, as it were. And I'll have a little look in the old spares box and see if put the lights back on. See if we can find a spare 9-volt battery connector. I don't think I've got a spare one, but it doesn't look to be in too bad for it. It just needs fixing together. So let's see what we can do about that. So what we're going to do is to try and fix these two bits together, and the way I intend to do this is effectively to just put a piece of plastic behind it to act as a piece that will hold it together, and I've got a piece of plastic here which is useful to have odd little bits of plastic, so I'll just put this down, and then what I'll do is I've got some heat shrink sleeving which and a hot glue gun which we can put it all together. So let's put the pieces together on the plastic here, and then we'll mark around it so we can cut it out. There we go. So let's just mark the edge down here. There we are, and it should be about in between the two terminals. So let's line that up roughly, one side and the other. There we go, and that should be about there. Should be good enough. So let's take a good old Stanley knife. Where would we be without Stanley knives? And we'll trim that down there a couple of times. There we go. And down the other side. Keep cutting it, and yet another slice into the worktop is made. I suppose really I should use a cutting mat, but I don't know where it is. As you can see, I've done plenty of cutting on there in the past, and in fact the plastic I'm using is an old ice cream cone top, ice cream tub rather, which is quite nice little bit of plastic for doing all kinds of bits and pieces with over the years. So let's put that down there. And what we'll do is we'll put some hot glue onto the plastic first and smooth that about a little bit. There we go. And then we will quickly, whilst it's still moist, put the two halves together and push it down and hold that down there whilst it's setting. And once that's done there, I will put another little blob of glue on the top of that and smooth that about. Okay, so now that this has cooled down, and what we'll do is we will see if we can put this hot melt, this heat shrink compound over the top of it and shrink it down just to give it a bit more strength. That looks pretty good. Wait for that to cool down, and that should be a nice repair. It's still quite warm for the radio. Now, because it's shifted down just slightly there, what I might do is just trim away that little bit that's gone over the connector. Now, which way round do the wires go? We've got to solder the wires from the radio back onto here. Which way around do they go? Well, if we look at another battery, we can see there's a 9-volt battery, and the terminology is the same, and the positive is the dot, so that will be the positive connection for the battery. So let's just make sure we remind ourselves positive at this end, negative at that end. Next thing we need to do is solder these wires on. Soldering iron's nice and hot already. We'll just twine these wires round, and we'll just tin the soldering iron. I ought to put the other tool on, but there we are, that will do. Nicely tinned. Now, of course, probably, think about it, what I could have done is I could have soldered the wires on first and then put the wires in the heat shrink, and that would have held them in place, wouldn't it? It was a bit daft. Never mind, because that'll only just get pulled off again. Trim off little bits of excess wire. Oh, still hot, that one. Right, so I found a nice red zip tie. I'll go with that. And just pop that in there. I'll cross the wires over there. So it should, if we get this right, hold the wires securely to the connector. Yeah, it's giving it an element of resistance. Just trim that off there. So that should now pull against there rather than pull against the wires on the thing. Not 100% sure about that. Let's just give it a twine together. So that should be good battery terminal connections. Let's reconnect the power supply. Negative, positive, FM, does that work? Yep, that works. So we know the connections are good. Power supply off. Next thing we've got to do is take the radio apart and fix the noisy volume control. So, trusty Mr. Duster will come out so we can lay it down. Now the radio is not in brilliant condition, it's quite dirty, but we'll give it a clean up for afterwards. I always tend to leave the cleaning until the end, because I find that if you give it spend a lot of time giving it a clean up and then you can't fix it, well, you waste a lot of time cleaning, haven't you? So get it working first, get it sorted, and then clean it. Works for me. Like I say, this is a revival. This is not really a good old original Roberts radio R250. The old ones used to have a great big circuit board, and the radios themselves were much bigger, and they only had medium wave and long wave. And I've been trying to get hold of one of those, but to no avail. Anyway, the volume control is here, inside here, and it's a fairly simple standard volume control, and I can probably squirt a little bit of electrolube into that. Now, just looking at this, I think actually it might be that these two screws either end, one there and one here, they hold in this plastic plate here, which has got everything else fitted to it. So chances are you undo those two screws and the whole lot comes out anyway. So there's one screw out the end, big long screws out on it, all the way through into there. And I think we need to remove the aerial. That's loose anyway, so let's remove that screw. And the aerial should just pull out. Now, the aerial's been a bit damaged. You can see that was actually quite a common fault on a lot of early radios. Come on, autofocus. Right, let's do it manually. You see where the outer rim has been damaged. What's happened there is that the radio aerial has been pulled right out, and there's a hinge on the end of it, and then it's been bent over that way, so it's actually created a chunk into the outer tubing. So gentle tweak with a pair of pliers should push that back into shape, but as with so much of this metalwork, it may well just fracture off. In fact, I think that one had, and it's very stiff, so we might put a little tiny touch of silicone grease on there just to give it that extra little slide. Anyway, right, let's go back to focus on the radio. So we can push that screw up so we don't lose it. Do we need this? Let's take the power socket off the back as well. Then we've got the whole assembly out. We can see it. A little self-tapping screw into the pot. And another one. Does that come off that little? Yeah, it does. We got into there. Pop that in there. So now we are almost there. Does this come out? How does this come out? How does this come out? How does this come out? Would we have to take off that side panel? The side panel's got one screw in here. A slightly bigger screwdriver. Wood self-tapper in there. Ah, the puzzle opens up. There we are. That's how we do it. So now the other beauty of taking it apart, of course, is the fact that we can get rid of all that crud around the edges. Look, it's been built up over the years. There's the radio, and we can unplug the speaker. Whoops. Out the camera while we're at it. Why don't we? Just carefully hold the speaker terminal, because if we pull it too quickly, then we could easily fine pliers. We could so easily pull this connector off of there. Let's just ease that off of there. Like so. So we have removed it from the case. The thing is with Roberts radios is they always made them so that they were repairable. And years ago, when I was just a trainee, that's what I spent the first couple of years doing, is doing nothing but fixing radios. And they were either Bush radios or Roberts radios or stuff like that. So you can tell it's a much more modern thing because it's got integrated circuits. One for the AM, one for the FM, and that'll be the amplifier for the sound. So it's all chips. No fun in it anymore. It used to be all transistors, AC 118s and so on. So anyway, that's our on-off control and volume control. So what we'll do is just get a little bit of my Philips service cleaner, and we'll just go a tiny little drop into those holes, and we turn it around backwards and forwards. There we go. We're going to have to bring that speaker back. I cleaned it. Amazing what you don't think of doing. Right, and power. Positive. Negative. 9 volts. Nice and clean. So we'll fix the volume control. That's done nicely. And then all we've got to do is start with the old cleanup. Now I think the other thing that we'll do because it will be a little bit of preventative medicine on this, and that will be to clean these switches, the function switches. They look pretty good, a bit difficult to tell, but they've got a little slot in the top, so why not give them a little squirt, just a tiny little squirt. And then give them all a little bit of a work. And that should hopefully then prevent that those switches from being all nasty. Now, how are we going to clean this up? Well, there's loads of spray cleaners you can get to clean these sort of things up, but having watched the Repair Shop, which is a brilliant TV show, if you look at anybody that's got stuff that they're going to be cleaning, one of the first things they do is clean it with water, just ordinary, a little bit of water, not necessarily with soap or anything like that. They just wet it and clean it. So that's what I'm going to do, get some water and we're going to clean it. Okay, so I've just got a little drop of water, just going to dip my cleaning cloth into it and then just wipe it gently over it. Now the knobs themselves, they will need to be cleaned, but they'll probably be easier if we actually take those off and clean them individually, and we can also clean underneath where the knobs were. So they usually just pull off because they're usually just a push fit onto the controls. Same again on there. So yeah, we can see there's quite a bit of crud underneath where the knobs are. Just give it a little quick squirt with isopropyl, one quick squirt, like that. And another piece of cloth, just see if that will bring it up. So everything should be alright. Now unfortunately one thing we can't do is fix this changing the yellowing. I suppose it's what in antique terms, as you would call it, it's patina. So it shows its age. An old toothbrush, just go along the edge there. Those switches. Just dry, just get rid of dirt. So that should have cleaned those up nicely. So let's have a little look in there, and we can see inside there a gap. Yeah, so that's all looking quite nice now and clean. Like I say, it's a shame about the yellowing. I think probably could, if we took the actual front panel off, the plastic over there, but I think that's actually painted on the back or printed on the back of this glass. I don't think it's a separate glass on top of there. I think it's all glued together. Doesn't seem to be like held with clips or anything like that, so we're gonna have to live with that. Right, now the second part of the cleaning involves the case, and we can see that on the case here we've got a sticker, which I don't think was an original Robert sticker. It says Les Domaines, so I don't know quite what that is. So the first thing we're going to do is just get the edge of a screwdriver. I can see there's an edge lifted. Let's see if we can just gently peel that off. Thankfully that peels off without leaving any residue. Get rid of that. And then we'll get our little pot of water and our cleaning cloth, and we'll just see what applying just a little bit of water over the front, see if that brings up any of the, we've got quite a few marks on the front here. It looks like we've got some, not sure what it's, paint or something stuck in the radio grill, in the speaker grill. Well, we could do this, in fact I just realised we can take that other block out and we could remove the speaker grill and give it a good clean. I've noticed just on the inside there is a number 95. Now, would that be 1995 it was made? Possibly. There may be something to do with the date code, with that as a date code, I don't know. Serial number as well on the inside of this. Serial number R250 619198. So could be 619198. Probably just a number. There's a QC label, but no date. So no idea when this was actually made. Probably could look it up. Anyway, let's close that for a minute. Now that we've got the front off, we can actually give this front bit a bit more of a clean. Right, I've just decided that what I'm going to do now is to get some warm water with a little drop of detergent in it and just see if that was going to make any difference on cleaning this up, which it may well do. Right, now for the mammoth rebuild.
Well, back home it is easy.
Dr. Magritte performed a number of complicated procedures and fashioned my body into the shape of a pipe. And hollowed out my insides so I could literally be smoked.
Lovely little interlude of calm and beauty there from Rameau Les Boreades. That was the Entrée de Polymnie, and we heard it performed by Les Musiciens du Louvre.
Lovely, working absolutely fine.
Now, those of you who know me
No
know
crack.
that I am a sucker for Latin American music, so it gives me...
Very pleased with that. So there we have one Roberts R250 fully restored, and very pleased with that I am. It's certainly a nice looking radio, albeit a little bit faded. It's got a really good sound to it, despite being a single speaker. The only thing I've got to sort out now is this foot, which appears to be missing. Now, I've got a funny feeling, one of those funny feelings, that I've actually got one of those, and I will endeavour to find that and put it on. But that will be going out on eBay for sale, and if you like it and you know what it's all about, you're welcome to bid. But anyway, for now, thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep well, keep safe, keep watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.